let's move on to the next question, which is 10 marker. So with reference to information provided, so this is quite general, so you might actually have to read all the extracts here, but assess whether Netflix subscribers behave rationally. Now that is a good question. Okay, let's get on with answering the 10 marker. So why Netflix subscribers behave rationally? What does it actually mean to behave rationally? It means consumers make decisions to maximize their utility, and that's the main thing. And let's have a look at the extracts to find which one is relevant with regards to behavior rationality. So education websites and TV programs, probably not. Economic price discrimination, probably not. How Netflix makes use of behavioral science, sounds very relevant. Let's have a read of this. Because it talks a bit about nudging, autoplay, so that could lead to irrational behaviour. The consumers could become addicted if you think about it. So binge watching, things like that, so that's maybe a bit of a hint. Okay, so if you look at this third paragraph now, so it talks about consumers worried about the rising cost of living and they are turning back on their subscription to Netflix. So what does that tell you? Does that signify rational or irrational behaviour? So consumers realise that, for example, the cost of petrol, cost of food is rising, and so they're prioritising essentials over something that is not essential like Netflix. So that definitely does show they are making decisions to maximise their utility, which does show rational consumers. Then it gives you a few stats on how that is happening, another 2 million forecast. Yep, so basically what it's saying here, especially towards the end, is in lockdown, so 2022, 2021, most people were home due to lockdown. But now, since people are going back to work, they're not spending as much time at home, therefore they don't really need this Netflix subscription, since they're not using it as much, which is 100% rational. And then we have a bit about Disney Plus and how it has higher satisfaction rates. But remember, with your 10 mark question, unless it explicitly asks for 2 paragraphs, you can 100% get away with 1 paragraph, remember. So 6 KA marks and the 4 evaluation marks. So this is how I would work, this is how I do the paragraph. So first start by just defining rationality. So like I said, it's where consumers are utility maximizing. And then my main paragraph, my topic point would just be, I believe consumers are acting rationally as they are cancelling their subscriptions. I would then, so my paragraph structure is also state your point, application, then analysis. I would then go on to give a bit of application, maybe give a few stats. Remember, there are obviously 2 application marks here. And then go on to explain basically what I was saying, why consumers, and explain why this shows this rationality. So why consumers are cancelling their subscription. So things like they're going back to work, they're spending less time at home, and then so if they're spending less time on Netflix, they don't get as much value out of the subscription, therefore they're cancelling the subscription. Or that consumers, due to the cost of living crisis, they don't have enough, they don't have much as much disposable income, thus they would rather prioritise spending on necessities, things like food, water and rent, rather than spending on more of a luxury good like Netflix. Thus they're substituting away from Netflix, and that is obviously a rational utility maximising decision. And that would be more than enough for your 6 marks of analysis. Remember, these 10 marks are really simple. You get them done in a question, just make sure you're hitting the market points. So 2 knowledge, 2 application, 2 analysis. Okay, and then we have 4 marks of evaluation. You can literally get away with 1 or 2 maximum evaluation points. Remember, it's all about timing. Here, there's some quite a few good evaluation points. Remember, it's all about this behavioural economics, this behavioural thinking. And if you look back to the start of it, firstly, we talk about binge watching TV shows. You can talk about, however. Now, of course, there are 4 marks of evaluation here, and how would I evaluate? So, of course, try to evaluate using the extract. And if you remember back to the start of this extract, it talks about binge watching. Basically, talks about consumers getting addicted. And you could say, however, in evaluation, this depends on the rationality of consumers, depends on how addicted they are. Due to features like autoplay and binge watching, could mean that consumers become addicted to Netflix, thus meaning that, of course, they're not going to cancel their subscription, even though it might not maximise their utility, even though there is a cost of living crisis. As they're addicted to this good, they may have an inelastic demand towards it, thus meaning they may not act rationally. Or even more specifically, to do with behavioural sciences, behavioural economics, is habitual behaviour. So consumers, as it mentions here, in lockdown, since we were home more, we were consuming more Netflix, more of these streaming services. But due to habitual behaviour, as consumers have picked up this habit, they may continue doing this habitual behaviour, continue doing this habit, and that is obviously irrational. It does not maximise utility, thus meaning, and it works as a really good evaluation point. So 2 evaluation points there. As long as you write them in enough detail, that is more than enough for those 4 evaluation marks. And this is what I'm trying to emphasise. This is how simple it is to score 10 marks on these questions. Just make sure you use the extract, simple chains of analysis, and all you need is 1 paragraph here, 1 to 2 evaluation points, and that is it. And that's all you need for 10 mark questions, and move on.